Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one, the only Zebec network. Listen, we will be talking about the short-term price action. We will be talking about what I believe is going to happen for the rest of the 2025 year. And we are also going to be comparing Zebec to other cryptos and how Zebec managed to, pretty much kind of hold its own compared to other cryptos, right? Especially over the last couple of days. We've seen Bitcoin sell off a drastic amount. Since, let's just say, Monday, this thing has sold off, almost 12.5%, right? We can take it from the top to the bottom. If we take like the literal bottom, let's just say 12.5% since Monday. So a big drop, right? That is a big drop for Bitcoin. And we are going to be seeing how Zbec held its own compared to other cryptos. Look, in terms of the short-term price action, right? We talked about last week how we were expecting retests from the 0.0037 3637, more or less this area. Why this area? Because there's multiple areas of support, right? We have boom, one area, boom, another area, boom, boom, even all of these wicks touching, even this one over here. So we have multiple days of us respecting this zone one way or another. Okay. Pretty much, I mean, if we look at it, pretty much from, let's just say the beginning of September for simplicity's sake. Okay. So we could see this zone is actually a very big, nice zone. We can see that on Tuesday, we were talking about how we want a blue candle here, and we really want to see candle closes above the 0.0038, and of course, this zone here. And we did not. In fact, we had a bearish day. So we can see we formed consistent lower and lower highs on the daily, okay, which is what we didn't want to see, because if that was going to happen, that means we were going to sell off. And that's exactly what happened, right? We kind of had that Tuesday day, and then the next couple of days, we sold off roughly upwards of 17%. Okay. So, that's kind of the little recap over the last week. When we go and look at something like the weekly candle, this is a very weak candle, to say the least. Okay. Because this is a pretty much big rejection. Any bullish momentum has been short lived. And historically, usually when you see these types of candles, you see a bigger sell off next week. Prime example, back in June, we had almost a near identical candle, and if we go pull it up to actually where it was retesting, we have two zones over here. We have this zone over here and this zone over here that I see right away. So if we pull up the weekly, where was this retesting? Okay, so it was actually retesting this zone up here. Okay, this zone up here of, come on, remove that. Thank you. 0.0046. Okay, we could see, right? We were retesting off it, and the next week we sold off, right? We were retesting and then we sold off. Okay. So that's the thing, people, right? That's kind of the last time we had a similar candle to that. You could kind of debate this one, but this one's more of a doji type candle, in my personal opinion. That's more of a doji candle. This one is pretty much playing exactly the same way, right? These two weekly candles are pretty much near identical. So yes, I do expect sell-offs over the next week to 2 weeks. Generally, right, my price prediction for Zbec for the rest of 2025, I do think we will probably go downwards of 0.002, in my opinion. I know that's not what people sometimes want to hear, but I'm here to tell you the truth, and I don't really want to be telling you, oh, we're going to go up, we're going to go up, we're going to go up. If I do see reversal signs, I will tell you. Now, of course, listen, when Zbec pumps and it shows 20 or 30%, that is a pump. Okay, when it shows reversal signs and then it goes up 20 or 30%, it did reverse. That doesn't mean it's the ultimate reversal of reversals. It just meant that there is technically a reversal sign, because the market consistently flips bullish and bearish, bullish and bearish. And then once we have more and more data, we could always look at the daily, we could always look at the weekly, we could always look at the monthly to determine where we're going to be heading next. Okay. We were talking about pretty much last month how Zebec had to decide which way it wanted to go, because we were getting squished from both sides. We had highs here, lower highs and lower highs, but we also had lows and higher lows. So October had to decide, and it actually kind of became a stalemate of a month. We kind of created a double bottom over here. We can see if we actually remove all the wicks, because some of you guys might be confused, boom, right? The actual body candles are pretty much near identical. And then we can see the market decided to go down. Now, I think, Zebec did have further corrections, but I also do think it's the fact that Bitcoin really has been struggling in November. All right, and that's just the truth. We go look at Bitcoin, generally speaking, ever since kind of the end of October slash beginning of November, we kind of have been selling off. Okay, right? This was kind of the we sold off a little bit in the end of October, but then the 1st of November, 2nd November, we barely went up. I mean, we went up what, a couple $100 at most. We went from 109. Yeah, we went up like 1K, whatever. We went up 2K at one point, and then we just sold off dramatically, right? So November has been very, very bearish. Um, so that doesn't obviously help Zbec's case because everything is kind of tied to Bitcoin for 99.9% of the time during the year. The only time it's not is when it's altcoin season and the altcoins start getting some type of money. Now, we do see that technically, we do have these lows and we do have higher lows here. But here's the thing, because of the weekly candle, I really would be surprised if Zebec would go up. If it were to go up, I would personally think it's going to be very short lived, back to the 0.0036 for a final retest to then sell off further. Now, I'm not telling you this just to be pessimistic or quote unquote spread FUD. I don't believe in that because if I can control the markets by spreading FUD, you don't think I would just say things are going to pump 100x and the markets would pump 100x? See, that just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So overall, right, overall, I expect more bearish momentum throughout the rest of 2025. The only thing I would say that could change a lot of things is the ISO compliance, right? If we get on the list and everything gets approved and everything goes smooth, then I do believe that there could obviously be some type of massive pump, and the structure won't matter too much. But I do think overall that would be an anomaly case. Okay. Look, right now we are holding our typical kind of trend line, right? Like I said in the past, I am not a fan of these because these just end up breaking. Okay, they always just end up breaking. I am not a fan of these. And we can see over the last couple of days, Thursday, Friday, probably Saturday and Sunday, are most likely going to be weak bullish momentum. It's going to be weak bullish momentum, generally speaking, right? This type of structure just is always a trap for the sell side liquidity. Uh, you know, the market makers create something like this just so they create more and more traps. They might do a little bit of a fake out and then boom, a bigger sell off. Okay. And that's just the truth, right? That is just the truth. Obviously, I want to be proven wrong. Look, this is very, very good news if you do want to buy more Zebec, right? If you want to buy more Zebec, then you want the price to be going down. If you are currently out of money and you don't want to be buying Zebec, then you kind of just want all of this to be wrapped up and to start pumping. And like I said before, I do believe 2026 is going to be the year of altcoin season. So, I don't really expect too much change over the next month and a half in terms of huge pumps because the Bitcoin dominance chart, it has to wait for certain things to get finished. It has to wait for certain things to get finished. And then that's when I expect Bitcoin dominance chart in 2026 to really, really drastically sell off multiple percentages. Now, I did say I was going to show you Zebec and how it held compared to other cryptos over the last week, right? If we kind of go from the Monday, I guess we'll go from Tuesday because this is actually where we kind of peaked. So if we take it from the top to the bottom, we can see we pretty much, dropped 20% over the week. We dropped 20% over the week from these highs. So Sunday and Monday did kind of save us because we went up, but then we kind of broke even for the week. We could see if we go to even something like H bar, right? H bar, if we go all the way back to Monday, was up here. And H bar is a very big crypto. Remember, H bar has a lot of market cap. And we can see we actually outperformed H bar. Okay, we outperformed H bar. XDC is another titan of a coin. And now I'm doing this randomly. I'm just selecting the ones I have here. We can see we almost did pretty much as good as XDC, something like XRP. I'm not going to compare it to Turbo because Turbo is a meme coin. I know people get upset even when I made the Doge comparison, even though it was just to show you what's possible, right? People got upset over that a little bit, but that's okay. Look, XRP 14%. Look, XRP to dump 20% would take a lot because it is literally like the third biggest crypto. So we can see obviously XRP outperformed us a little bit, but we can see something like Ondo that is much bigger than us, over here to down here, pretty much had a similar week. Remember, we are much smaller in market cap. There is a better reason for us to be dropping way more. Even let's take something like Ethereum. I know it's not the most fair of fair comparisons, but boom, we take something like Ethereum, boom, 16% over the last week or so. Take something like Render, right? Where was this? This is Friday though. Let's take it from Monday. Let's take it from Monday from here. Boom, right? Render's a pretty decent, good crypto. 25% it went down. We'll do one more like Radium, right? Boom, take Radium over here, down here, 26%. Now I lied. I want to do a couple more because I'm actually very, very curious to see how pretty much uh, thing performed against most crypto. Let's see, 19%. Now I would show ICP, but ICP had an anomaly pump, right? Had a very, very big pump. Dia is a respectable crypto, right? Dia is a very nice, respectable crypto. This is the Monday. Take it from here to here. So also, yeah. So we can see we either did kind of compete with a lot of bigger cryptos, or we even outperformed a lot of them. So we can see Zebec did hold its own, and these are just some of the ones I showed you, and these are some class cryptos. But yeah, that is ultimately it though, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.